what if I told you that you never had to get in trouble again? By the end of this presentation, you'll be able to sweet talk your way out of just about anything through applying my 3-step method of quickly apologizing, explaining the situation, and negotiating. But in real life, when the pressure's on, it's not going to be that easy. So let's get the pressure on. Scenario 1. Your favorite baseball team just won the World Series, and you feel on top of the world. You're driving down the road late at night, celebrating with your friends, not paying attention to how fast you're going, and then you hear that sickening siren and those dreadful lights. How do you feel? Scenario 2. This semester of school, you have dominated all of your classes. You've stayed on top of all of your assignments, done fantastic on all of your tests, and you go in to take your last final, and you go into the testing center, and then the workers there tell you your test closed yesterday. So you go to talk to your teacher, expecting her to be understanding, and then she looks like this. How do you feel? Scenario 3. Your dad has the nicest black BMW sports car. It's so nice he doesn't even let you touch it, except for this one time. And he's going to let you take it out on a date, but this isn't just any date. This is the hottest date of your life. You're super excited. You're driving down the road, looking more at her than at the road because you just can't help it. And before you know it, you total your dad's car. You totally feel bad. All of us get in trouble. That is life. But only some of us can get away with it. So how do we get away with it? Well, before I dive into the methods of sweet talking, there's some things you need to understand about your brain. There's 2 parts of your brain that fire when you're in a stressful situation. Your amygdala and your frontal lobe. Your amygdala tells you to run and scream like a girl when a bear is chasing you. Your frontal lobe reminds you that you have pepper spray in your back pocket. Always use your frontal lobe when it comes to sweet talking. So, step 1 to sweet talking. You need to quickly apologize. Dale Carnegie is the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, and he's the master when it comes to sweet talking. He dedicates an entire chapter of his book to this principle of quickly apologizing. In this chapter, he tells a story of when he took his dog to a park with a sign that read, "No dogs off the leash." Well, no one was at the park, so he decided to chance it, and he's going along for a while, and then an officer itching to exercise his authority, comes up and gets really mad at Carnegie for letting his dog off. So Carnegie promises to never do it again, and they part their ways, and some time goes by. There's no one showing up, no officer. Carnegie doesn't like the leash, his dog doesn't like the leash, so he decides to chance it again. And again, the officer shows up. And so, as soon as Carnegie sees this police officer, he knows he's in for it. But rather than letting his amygdala get the best of him, he goes up to the officer, uses his frontal lobe, and before letting the officer say anything, he says, "Sir, I messed up. I blew it. I have no excuses, no alibi. You told me last week if I let my dog off the leash, you would give me a fine. Here I am." And so the officer doesn't have anything left to say. Carnegie already said it all for him. He lets Carnegie off. So it's not going to always work perfect like it did for Carnegie. And when it doesn't, you're going to need to explain the situation. So for instance, when your officer shows up driving down the road, you might have to say, "Sir, you know I'd be driving the speed limit, but the Royals just won the World Series. First time in 40 years. Or when you go to talk to your teacher, "Ma'am, I am your best student. I just got the date wrong." Or when you talk to your dad on the phone, say, "Dad, you know how I treat your sports car, but did you see my date? You wouldn't have been looking at the road." So remember, explain the situation. And then step 3, negotiate. You're going to work with them, make a deal, and then be so grateful for what they give you. Flood them with gratitude. Remember, negotiate. And so how can this help you? Well, if you haven't caught on yet, I didn't come up with these scenarios out of thin air. These are real life scenarios that have happened to me, and they have worked, and it can work for you. So, as the old saying goes, practice makes perfect. So go out there, get yourself in trouble, and get away with it.